Okay, so you want to buy a nightclub in Las Vegas. Find a room on the strip, book a famous DJ, hire some bottle girls, and watch the money pour in along with the champagne. And here's the strange part. A single club in this city can take more money on one Saturday night than a good restaurant earns in an entire year. The best of them gross over $100 million annually out of one room. And yet this is also a business where you can sell $10,000 of vodka before midnight and still be losing money by the time the sun comes up. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how that's possible. How a club sells you a bottle that costs them $30 for $1,000. Why the most expensive person in the building never pours a single drink. Why the casino your club sits inside might be the only one in the room actually making money. And why almost every operator who tries to build a Las Vegas nightlife empire eventually either sells out or burns out. Let's start with the price tag, because there are really three different businesses hiding under the word nightclub. The cheapest way in is a small off-strip lounge or a downtown bar. A few $100,000 to a couple of $1 million buys you a room, a sound system, a liquor license, and a local crowd who show up on the weekend. Modest, survivable, and nobody will ever write an article about it. Then there's the mid-tier club inside a casino. Somewhere between $5 and $20 million to build out a proper room with a real DJ booth, a lighting rig, and a capacity of a few hundred. And then there's the top of the market, the strip megaclub. A venue like Hakkasan at the MGM Grand reportedly costs somewhere north of $100 million to build. Omnia at Caesar's Palace, opened in 2015, ran a similar bill. These are not bars. They are multi-story production facilities with LED ceilings that cost millions on their own, capacities of 5,000 to 7,000 people, and a budget closer to a casino than a club. But the building is just the entry fee. The two costs nobody warns you about come later. The first is the license and the lease. The second, and the one that will decide whether you live or die, is talent. We'll get to him. First, the good news, the part that makes grown investors lose their minds. Where does the money actually come from? Not the door. The cover charge at the entrance, even at $40 or $50 a head, is a rounding error. The entire economic engine of a modern Vegas club is one thing: bottle service. Here's how the trick works. You don't really rent a table. What you buy is a minimum spend. You commit to spending, say, $3,000, and in exchange you get a sofa, a slice of the room, and the right to be inside. On a normal weekend, a basic table runs $1,500 to $3,000. A prime table next to the DJ booth or on the dance floor can be $10,000, $20,000, $50,000. On New Year's Eve, the best tables in the best rooms go for over $100,000, and people fight for them. Now the markup. A bottle of premium vodka costs the club around $30 wholesale. On your table, that same bottle is $600 to $1,000. A bottle of champagne that retails for $150 in a shop is $700 to $1,000 on the menu. And the big formats, the giant bottles they carry out with sparklers in a parade through the room while everyone films it, those run $10,000, $20,000, even $50,000 each. The sparkler is not decoration, it's advertising. Every phone that films that parade is telling the rest of the room to spend more. And then, on top of the entire bill, the club adds an automatic gratuity of around 20% plus tax. So that $10,000 minimum is really closer to $13,000 by the time you sign. The house edge in a casino is a few percent. The markup on a bottle of vodka in a Vegas nightclub is over 1,000%. There is no other legal product in America with margins like that, served by the leader to people who have specifically decided not to make good decisions tonight. To put it in perspective, on a marquee night, a holiday weekend, or a major headliner, a single top room can take in $1 to $3 million in a few hours. Not in a month, in a night. So if the alcohol is almost free and you're selling it at 1,000% markup, this should be the easiest money on earth. Why does anyone lose? Meet the most expensive man in the building, the DJ. For about a decade, Las Vegas clubs fought a war over talent, and the prize was the residency. A residency is a deal where a single DJ agrees to play your club a set number of nights per year, exclusively in that city. At the peak of the EDM boom, around 2013 to 2016, those deals went completely insane. Calvin Harris, on his residency at Hakkasan and Omnia, was reportedly paid in the region of $400,000 per night. Forbes estimated he earned around $66 million in a single year, mostly from standing behind a laptop in Las Vegas. Tiesto, Zedd, Steve Aoki, Cascade, the same story. Annual residency deals worth tens of millions of dollars. Think about what that means for your spreadsheet. Before a single guest walks in, before you've sold one bottle, you owe a DJ $400,000 for the night. To break even on the headliner alone, that one room has to sell roughly $400,000 of bottle service before it is paid for anything else. Not the rent, not the 200 staff, not the security, the insurance, the liquor, the lights. Just the man with the laptop. This is the casino paradox all over again. The product has a guaranteed engine, the bottle markup, and an almost unlimited cost stacked on top of it, the talent. And the talent had all the leverage, because in the EDM years, the DJ was the reason the crowd came. Book the wrong name, and your $100 million room is half empty on a Saturday. Which brings us to the second secret of how these rooms fill up, the promoter. A Vegas club does not wait for a crowd to wander in. It pays an army of independent promoters to deliver one, and specifically to deliver the right ratio. The uncomfortable economics of a nightclub are these. Men buy the tables. So the club needs women in the room to make the men buy the tables. Promoters are paid per head, and they are paid the most for bringing in groups of women, who often get in free, drink free, and never see a bill. The men at the table next to them are paying for all of it and more. It isn't subtle, and it isn't new. It's just rarely said out loud with a price attached. And here's something most people outside the industry miss. The party doesn't even need the night anymore. Somewhere around 2010, Vegas discovered the day club, the pool party, and it changed the economics completely. Venues like Encore Beach Club, Wet Republic at the MGM Grand, and Marquee Day Club turned a swimming pool and a few hours of afternoon sun into some of the highest revenue real estate in the city. A daybed by the pool carries a minimum spend just like a table inside, sometimes higher. Now the same operator can sell the space twice. Bottles by the pool in the afternoon, bottles on the dance floor at night. 2 shifts, same building, same 1000% markup. The sun became a second revenue stream. So now you can see the shape of it. Enormous revenue per square meter, a guaranteed markup, and sitting on top, 2 costs that can swallow it whole. The DJ and the cost of manufacturing a crowd every single night. Now, the strangest player in the whole story, the casino. Because here's a question. If a megaclub costs over $100 million to build, and the margins are this dangerous, why does every major casino on the Strip want one? The answer is that for the casino, the club was never really about the club. A nightclub drags thousands of young people with money into the building every weekend. People who eat in the restaurants, sleep in the rooms, and yes, drift onto the casino floor. For a long time, the club itself didn't even need to be wildly profitable. It just had to fill the resort. That created 2 different business models. In the first, an operator runs the club and pays the casino either rent or a share of revenue. In the second, the casino runs the club itself and keeps everything. Wynn took the second path. Its venues, XS and Encore Beach Club, are run in-house, and XS has for years been cited as one of the highest-grossing nightclubs on the planet, with estimates around $100 million a year out of a single room. When you own the building, the club, and the casino floor the crowd spills onto, the maths finally works in your favor. For everyone else, the model has been consolidation. Meet Jason Strauss and Noah Tepperberg, 2 promoters from New York who turned throwing parties into an empire. They built Marquee, then expanded into a portfolio of clubs, restaurants, and venues under what became Tao Group Hospitality. In 2017, Madison Square Garden Entertainment bought a controlling stake in their company, a deal that valued the business in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Then in 2021, Tao Group absorbed Hakkasan Group's Nightlife venues, swallowing some of its biggest rivals. The men who started by handing out flyers ended up owning a huge slice of the Strip's nightlife. That is what success looks like in this business. You don't get rich running one perfect club. You get rich owning 40 of them and selling the company. Now the part where it goes wrong. Because it goes wrong constantly, and almost always for the same reasons. Mistake 1. The trend moves and you don't. Vegas nightlife is fashion, and fashion is brutal. The EDM era that justified those $400,000 DJ checks cooled off. The crowd drifted toward hip-hop and open format nights, where the headliner is a rapper or a celebrity host rather than a superstar DJ commanding a residency. Operators who had locked themselves into enormous multi-year EDM contracts suddenly found themselves paying peak prices for a sound the room had started to leave behind. In this business, last year's must-have act is this year's dead weight on the payroll. Mistake 2. The whole thing depends on the room being full, and sometimes the room can't open at all. In 2020, COVID shut every nightclub in Las Vegas overnight. A business built entirely on packing thousands of strangers shoulder to shoulder went, in a single weekend, to zero revenue with the rent still running. Clubs that looked unstoppable in 2019 were gone by 2021. There is no day rate, no contract, no hedge against a city that simply closes the doors. And mistake 3. The liability. Your product is a room full of people you have deliberately encouraged to drink as much as possible, as fast as possible, at 1,000% markup. Then they fight, they fall, they drive, and the lawsuits land on you. Security incidents, over-serving claims, injury suits. The same engineered intoxication that prints the money also generates a permanent stream of legal risk that climbs every year. So let's actually do the maths. How much do you make if you get this right? Take a top strip megaclub. On a strong year, it might gross $80 to $100 million, the overwhelming majority of it from bottle service. Sounds like a license to print money, until you start subtracting. Tens of millions a year in talent. A payroll of hundreds of staff across the venue, the casino's cut, or the lease, marketing and the promoter army, production, insurance, and the liquor itself. A well-run megaclub might keep a net margin somewhere in the region of 20 to 30% of what's left, and a badly run one keeps nothing, because one overpriced residency or one soft season eats the entire profit. Now the in-house model, the win approach. Own the venue, skip the middlemen, capture the crowd that flows onto your own casino floor. And the same $100 million of revenue turns into a genuinely profitable machine. Because the club isn't a standalone gamble, it's the front door to a much bigger building. And that is the real lesson of buying a nightclub in Las Vegas. The bottle on the table has the best margin of almost any product sold legally in America. But you don't get to keep that margin. The DJ takes a slice, the promoter takes a slice, the casino takes a slice, the taxman and the lawyers take a slice, and the trend can vanish the slice that's left. The club with the guaranteed markup and the queue around the block is the same club that can be empty and bankrupt 18 months later when the music changes. The people who actually got rich here mostly didn't fall in love with one legendary room. They built a brand, scaled it across dozens of venues, and sold the whole thing to a company with a balance sheet big enough to survive the bad years. The bottle service is the bait, the empire is the business, and the house, as always in this city, finds a way to keep more of it than you do. If this pulled back the curtain on how Vegas nightlife actually works, hit subscribe, because the next one in this series breaks down another business that looks like a money printer from the outside and a minefield from within. And before you go, tell me in the comments, 1. What's the most you've ever seen a table spend on a single night out? 2. Would you rather own one legendary strip club or 40 boring profitable bars? And 3. Which business should I break down next? Drop it below and I'll see you in the next one.